So I like to start off, I always saying, Nesiv Shulam says, V'harbe imay fidus. Hashem has a lot of fidus. We need a lot of fidus. We need a lot of salvation. The Eibishter Hatas, it's in stock. We've seen Baruch Hashem miracles happen. So we have to remind ourselves. Yeah, people on Zoom, please put yourself on mute. You can mute them, but they can mute themselves. Okay. So we need a lot of fidus. The first step of fidus is showing that there's people that care about somebody. Somebody's in pain, and these parents are in pain, and family members come, and a roof comes and drives in from Muncie. Is already shows the Eibishter that we're not yechidim. There are people who care, and that's a very, very big difference. I'll tell you the tochnit for tonight. The schedule is that I'm going to introduce myself, what I'm doing here. Then I'm going to explain why you're all here. And then we're going to ask the roof to give divrei bruch and divrei chizuk. And the roof has the right of way at any point during the process. If you want to ask or say or do anything, that's the right of way, the right of roof to jump in anytime. But basically that's the tachnit. What I'm doing here, what you're doing here, all of you, and for the roof. After hundreds of parents started coming to me for advice, I realized that I have to do this because a lot of parents were complaining to me. The siblings don't understand what we're doing. The aunts and the uncles and the grandparents questioning. And a lot of people say things to the parents that are very painful. Of course, they mean well. They'll say things like, what are you doing? This meshige, this is crazy. Who says? Vishtait. All kinds of things. And the parents who are trying to save their family end up in a lot of pain. So I started making this extra family meeting. So the family, first of all, should meet me. You should see I'm a real person. I don't have a ponytail. Regular person. I have a blue shirt. Sorry. But then it's controlled. It's not stam up, it's a wild thing. And you should meet me, hear what I'm about. And you should understand what your role is in all of this. For the first thing is, you should know I don't deal with chinuch. Nothing I say has anything to do with chinuch. We could discuss what chinuch is, what chinuch isn't. It's not my parsha. I only deal with what I call stage 4 crisis. What we're doing is hatzalah. When you have a boat and you're all on the boat having fun, beautiful. But imagine, Khalila, somebody falls overboard. At that point, life stops. Life as we know it stops. And we have to stop the boat and stop the music and figure out what are we going to do to save this neshama. Why is it my achrayis? What does that have to do with me? I want to have a good time. Why? First of all, we have an achrayis to other Yidden. More than that, it's a lav to ignore. My Rosh Hashiva, Reb Shmuel Kamenetsky said, it doesn't just mean if someone's poor and you ignore him, it's a lav. It doesn't just mean someone's in the hospital, you ignore him, it's a lav. It means if someone is lost, birachnius, if someone is in pain, emotional pain, psychological pain, and you ignore them, you could say, I'm not really close, I don't have a shaykhis. It's a lav, mibsarcha al tisalam. You have to get involved. I have a large family, Baruch Hashem. I have a lot of nephews and nieces that I love very much. Some of them I see once a year, twice a year. Zaya fine. Right? But the love of a personal love of a family member is an additional love. But we have to be involved. I have a lot of family members. You see them once a year, twice a year is fine. If one of them is in the hospital, and I go to see them once a year, twice a year, is that normal? It's a different mahalach. I have to start putting it in my schedule twice a week. I'm going to go to Manhattan. I'm going to go through traffic and parking expenses. I might get there and I might be sleeping. Come back the next day. I'm going to buy a card. I'm going to do what I need to do for a sick person, because sick people have a different anhaga. Lost people, confused people, people in pain, it's a different anhaga. And that's really the first message, to understand the difference between regular chinuch and crisis, the difference between healthy and not healthy. Whether it's not healthy, today we know that there's really no spiritual problems. I never met a bacher. I'm doing this with hundreds and hundreds of kids. Never met somebody who had a spiritual problem. It's all emotional pain, trauma, abuse. If you could put yourselves on Zoom, people put yourselves on mute, that would be good. Shkoyach. We know today it's pain. And different Rabbanim have said it, and different Sfarim say it. But even if someone's mamish not in pain, their mamish just lost birachnius, it's the same thing. We have to save them. We have to save them even if we're not Lubavitch. We have to save them, and we're mechuyev to save them, and we can save them. We have, Baruch Hashem, from the hundreds of parents that came to me, we already have 104 kids that are not only alive, off drugs, clean, stable, functioning, but are completely Shomei Torah mitzvahs. 104. Kein yirbe. It's a process, because once a leg is broken, you don't just the next day start to walk and run. It's a long journey. So what I try to do is I try to guide the parents and hold their hands, give them whatever support that I can. Hashem should continue to help me have the koiches to do that. I'm there for them 24/7. Yeah, so far. And I have groups, and I answer questions, and I'm here. I'm not hiding. Difficult questions. I make videos to help other people. I'm very clear. I'm very consistent. Baruch Hashem, once in a while, if I feel I don't know it, I'll say I don't know. If it's out of my tchum, out of my sugya, I'll say I don't know. But whatever I try to share with you is only from my experience of almost 20 years, of hundreds of families that came from my experience of Home Sweet Home. Home Sweet Home was a home that I decided to open in 2002. I don't know why. Hashem gave me an idea. I'm going to open a home. I had no shaykhs to the sugya. I had no training, and I opened a home called Home Sweet Home, and I took kids off the street who were homeless, all from families, chashuva family, some of them. Machali Shabbos b'fehesi, eating treif, eating on Yom Kippur, dysfunctional, drug addicts, ganovim, gamblers, and they moved in, and you can look at the pictures when I closed up in 2014. I made an album. You're talking about the miracles. I never thought, I didn't want anything from them. I had no agenda. I never thought they'll be frum. I thought one day a guy on a motorcycle is going to say, hey, thanks, you once gave me a meal. I didn't expect the first kid who was so bad, he ran away from home at 13 and a half. He lived in Walmart in an empty truck. He lived on a train. The people he stayed for before me, who took him in for a cold winter, he stole from them $8,000 when he left. After 3 months he moved in. I called the parents. I just want you to know, I have a place called Home Sweet Home. Your son moved in. He told me, you'll regret the day you ever met my son. 6 months later, I said, I just want to tell you, we're still here. You'll regret the day. Everybody who met my son regretted it. He was meshigas since he was 8 years old. Crazy, out of control. And he graduated with the first 3 boys. After 1 year, I could show you pictures later, alive, functioning, frum, hats, jackets, whoever thought about it. He spoke at the Aguda convention. He moved to Lakewood. He got married. He has 2 children in Hamish and Meistis. And the second one and the third one, the first 10 was like all graduated within a year. Kids on the street were scared to come. They said, oh, I heard about you. I'm going to leave here from. I don't want to come here. I said, I promise it was a mistake. It was true. I had no agenda. And they said, that's your agenda. I said, I'm telling you, there's no tefillin, there's no shachris, there was no learning, there was no nothing. You don't have to keep shachris, you don't have to put on tefillin, good nisht. Work and have fun at night. Das ist eine ganze Sache. You're cold?
No, I'm just getting my tissue.
Okay. And 95% approximately walked out. Mamash, we have Eineklach Shomei Torah mitzvahs. And the few that didn't become frum when they left, did not go against us, are not haters. And I noticed they have one thing in common, all these chevra, these few guys that didn't make it back. None of them had a family to go home to. So interesting, black and white. All the other ones that had a family to go into, I integrated them back into the families. Even the ones who had extreme violence. There was a kid who, before coming to me, he was so violent, the night before, his father called me up. It was a Sunday. He said, my son is supposed to come to you Monday, Monday night, my daughter's getting married. My son is not invited. And he just punched me in the face and broke my glasses. And I want to call, he thinks it's funny. Don't think about it. I want to call the police. But my wife told me if I call the police, maybe you're not going to take him tomorrow out of our house. I don't want to ruin it. So I said, don't call the police. Bring him to me right now. And he was the Ben Sairi Meir, you would think, for years. Shomrim called me a few years before that. He stole, his father had an axe. He stole the axe as a message to his parents. I think that's the golden rule. He who has the axe makes the rules. And he told his mother once, I'm going to kill you and your baby. She was pregnant. Violence. He broke all the glass in the house. Shomrim called me. I don't usually do that. I don't know why I went down there. Before I met him, years before, he ripped his face out of every picture. And all of a sudden, this boy, this big Russia, moved into Home Sweet Home that Sunday. I never had an ounce of problem from him. A nachas, sweet boy. They just didn't understand what he went through. They didn't understand his pain. He was so matzliach. He's in Shidduchim now. He lives near me. If it matters, he wears a hat in Shabbos. I'm happy Shem Shabbos. I'm happy he's alive. We don't have any homeless. We don't have any overdoses from Home Sweet Home boys. We don't have any, Baruch Hashem, no suicides. And from that, parents started coming to me out of the blue. The Ebisha sent me 10, 15, 20. And I realized instead of helping 4 or 5 kids a year, I could help 40, 50, 60 families a year. Help them by teaching you how to make your home sweet. And I learned a lot. And everything I learned was not from college and not from school. I had no idea. I learned from them. What is the piece that's broken? And once you fix that piece, the dysfunction leaves and the problems go away. I never met a kid with a Yiddishkeit problem. We had in the group here with hundreds of families, I would say for sure over 30 kids that said, I'm an atheist. I don't believe in anything. Who today are no longer atheists. And the chiddush that I want to tell you is, not one of them ever got answers to any of their questions. Today we don't become atheists because mahat kashis, and you don't become frum. We have the same kashis. Where was God in the Holocaust? How does Hashem allow babies to be murdered, 1 million babies, and Gog Magog and Amalek, and we all have the same questions, and yet we go on with our lives. It's all pain related. People who talk and convince are using the worst method, and they see because when someone is in pain, their kashas are terutzim, not kashas. Trying to be mataritz why they can't live this way. We never use talking. We use the only method that has ever worked and that can ever work. The method of the Baal Shem Tov and the Chazon Ish. And it's another svarim also. But it's clear. Shtayt in Medrash Pinchas. They asked the Baal Shem Tov, it's on the wall. Adam kosher, good Jews like we have here. Sheyatzu banav letar b'siraisu l'kfira. Banav sounds like more than one, yeah? Went off the derech and kfira, atheism. They went to the Baal Shem Tov, what do we do? So you would say, the Baal Shem Tov would say, make sure he doesn't come to your house. In your house, he shouldn't come in. Make sure he wears a yarmulke and dresses tznius in your house. Do you have children? Make sure that that kid doesn't come into your house. You could be mashpi on your children. Did he say any segula in the world? He could have come up with any skill at this tehillim, and I'm not knocking it, it's alles gits. But the Baal Shem Tov knew nishamelech. The Baal Shem Tov knew everything. Vitziva ha-Baal Shem Tov. He commanded the parents one thing. Lehoiv oisam beyoiser. Love them more. Umach mazois, and because of that, yeitzei mikfira. He didn't have any other advice. Let him in the house with his piercings, with a tattoo. Let him eat treif in the house. He didn't tell him. Lehoiv oisam beyoiser is the medicine, is the chemo, the radiation for this cancer. Baal Shem Tov couldn't think of anything else. As I state from many, many svarim, we have also the Chazon Ish. Nobody argues in the Chazon Ish. I put it on the wall. They asked the Chazon Ish, what should parents do when their kids go off the derech? And parents means anybody. Medicine is medicine. And what did he say? Make sure they don't come into your house. Don't let them bring an iPhone into your house. Shut the Wi-Fi on Shabbos. Didn't say that. He didn't say that. He said 7 words. Yinasu l'mashcham ba'avoisois ahava. Try to pull them in with ropes, cords of love. That's a lot of love. That's a lot. That's not regular love. Regular love doesn't pull somebody in. You have to be moishich them from the gas, to be a gas meidel, a gas ingel, to pull them in from, they're so far away, the machal Shabbos b'fehesya, and your only tool is love. You don't know how to do it? You have to learn how to do it. Fell overboard. The kid fell overboard and you're on the boat. What do? We have to reach him, we have to connect. You start tying up sheets and ropes and towels, anything. I got to connect because there is no other way. Tell him musar, give him advice. Nobody said that. Show him that what he's doing is unacceptable. Nobody said that. Not the Reb Shach, not the Belzer Rebbe, not the Chassam Soifer, not the Orach Chaim HaKudosh, not the Lubavitcher Rebbe, certainly not. Nobody. Advice, showing him that you're not accepted. Rav Pam, Litvish Gadol Adar, read it inside. They asked him what to do. And he said the same medicine. No, loy litchoisai, don't push him away. Loy lintoishai, don't abandon him. He said, don't do anything. None of that. All of that comes from the Goyim. There's not one sefer. I have a collection. People send me from all over the world, the Divrei Torah and stories of Gedolim. A lot of it is in the manual that I gave you. I have a collection of over 4,000. Nothing to do with me or twisted parenting. Authentic stories, gedrikt, beautiful Divrei Torah, and maises from the Chazon Ish, the Divrei Yoel, so much. And from all of them, not one time, not one story, not in your house. Can't come in your house. Be merachik. Never. It was never a part of it. It comes from the world of the Goyim. You have to have rules, and consequences, and boundaries, and it's your house. Let them give advice on their people, on the Goyim. But we have what to fall back on. We have a Torah. It's been like a black cloud that Haimisha, from people, and even Gedolim. I had stories with Gedolim where I showed them, and they said, wow, I never knew that, because we were not malumid in this Masechta. I had a story with one of the Rosh Hashivas, I don't want to say which one, and the parents had a shaila about the car, kids driving a car. To buy, are you allowed to buy a car for someone who says, I'm going to drive it on Shabbos? Big shaila. You're going to buy a car that he says, I'm going to drive your car that you pay for on Shabbos. I would ask you to raise your hands, and I would ask the Mayatzis, I would ask all the Agidus Rabunim, are you allowed to do such a thing? But I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to embarrass you. Because we don't know, nobody taught us this. Most people don't know. But they asked this to the Chazon Ish. The kid asked the father, Tati, please buy me a car, mechonit, a car. And the father said, I'm asking him to buy it as long as you don't drive on Shabbos. The kid said, no deal. And the relationship deteriorated. Kishehegia el Rabbeinu, when this reached Rabbeinu the Chazon Ish, he was a meyayitz the father, kedai, to buy the child a car, leloi shum tanai, without any conditions. Why? Kedei shetiskadal hashpa'osoi alav, in order that your hashpa, your influence, will grow. Very nice. Don't buy the car, don't buy the car. You lose the connection and your influence. We don't realize how much influence matters. We don't realize the relationship is influence. And if they pull away from the relationship, you lose your influence. Influence means, my type of influence, getting somebody to do something without telling them to do it. Making them want to do it. Like the Nesiv Shalom says, even on regular chinuch, chinuch amiti. Was is emes chinuch? Einoi lahachriach es hachanich lehisna hagus toiva. Is not to pressure the child to behave properly. Elo lahavi oisai kedei sheyirtze bazeh. But to bring him, he should want it. When a kid says, ich will nicht, pressuring him to do it means you didn't do chinuch and now you're going to pressure. No. You say to yourself, oh, I got a lot of work to do. They have to want it. If they don't want it, you lose. How long can you push someone to do something that they don't want to do? Till they used to be 20, went to 18, went to 14, and now I'm hearing about 10-year-olds.
By 6. Till 6 you could tell them.
Till 6, the rule says. We have 10, 11-year-olds that are done. It's dropping. Yeah, we have a very.
We are geniuses. We do everything fast.
So when the child says, "Ich will das nicht," no, I don't want to learn. You could push him to learn. You could try. If Shamshon Folher says you could swing, you can push and pressure a kid, it'll last as long as he's in front of you, or until he gets kishiyigdal. However, if you use the power of influence, then your influence is going to mold his life. Sai when you're in front of him, and sai when you're separated by time, by place, by distance, by aratzos, and life and death. That forever they'll have the influence inside of them. And influence only comes from love. If I think you look down at me and you don't like me, there's no relationship, there's no connection, the influence is over, your IV line is not there. You have the chemo, you have the medicine, you have the line, and it's not going in the vein. What changed in the last 5 years, the last 10 years is that the children and Klal Yisrael and everybody are so hypersensitive to judgment, to lack of acceptance, that they pull the line right away. You see it, they shut down right away. 30, 40 years ago already, it's interesting, the Gedolim knew what's happening way before us. Way before us. Rav Moshe Tuvi Leif Shlita, the Rav of Aguda, said that 40 years ago, Shmuel Birnbaum, Zatzal, told him 40 years ago, he said, he was made, he was here, he said, he took my hand and he said, you think I can give Musar to anybody? This was in the prime of the Koil of Mir in Brooklyn, when there was no seats, they were standing around the bima. I'll put it on mute, if it's okay. It was in the prime of Brooklyn. It was standing around, and 40 years ago, he said, Ramesh Tuv, you think I can give anybody, Koilingalite, any Musa? Everything I say has to go in a roundabout way. The door changed.
There's a word for Doshinsky. It might help you. There's a word, starke word. It's a moeilijke word. Janke Wien is het verhoeven. Why didn't I give you Misr all my life? I was afraid you'll go. So the question is, he didn't know Reuven is a Eilicher in Mekenem Zug Misr. He didn't mean to say that he's going to go and connect to Isaac. He's going to connect to the Mahalach of Isaac. In front of his father, he's going to do what his father wants him to do, and outside is going to be a fake phony fraud.
Wow.
But he said, I'm not giving you Misr because I'm going to give you Misr. You're going to be a two-facer.
Wow.
Double life. Nein, ich tue nicht kein Misr. End of my life. Rav Doshinsky.
Do you know in a safe?
Yeah. Maritza la Torah.
I need this. Now we have 4001. Wow. He doesn't want him to have that attitude. And we see this all the time. Because one of the things that happens with the parents here, you see it in group, that all of a sudden there's no double life. The girls outside, they go home, and the parents say, before you come in, you have to dress up, put on sneakers, double life. That's Esav Achi. I want to know the real you. That's why the biggest mistakes that people make is they tell their son, Moshe, outside, I can't tell you what to do, but in this house you wear a yarmulke. It's the biggest mistake. Say, Moshe, outside, I can't tell you what to do. If you have to dress up for someone to like you, can't stop that. But in this house, Chalila, you should put on a yarmulke, because I want to love the real you. The connection that you have, even though it's much lower, it's the real them. You love me. I once told a kid, he should have done what I would do if I was a kid. For my tati's birthday, I would give him a box. The father would open up and say, what's it does? A yarmulke, tzitzis, tefillin. He would say, what is this? These are the things that you love. We have to show the kids, I love you. And if unfortunately the real you is on a yarmulke, on a yarmulke. On sneers. That's the only thing that works. That's what Gershon Edelstein Shlita said. That was the mahalach of alle gedolim. Now, where's the line and halach, whatever? That's the next part you should understand. Nothing is hefker. Every single family that comes to me has a roof, has a moed derech. If there's going to be a psak on Yom Kippur, what to do? We have a lot of difficult situations. There's nobody that came to me ever that doesn't have a das Torah. I have a beautiful collection of letters. I'm going to retire. I'm going to sell my collection of letters. Unfortunately, I needed it because people were challenging me. He makes stuff up. You see here in group, every family has their own das Torah. If there's a shaila that's going to step on Torah or hashkafas at Torah, we're going to have a four-way conference together with the roof. We're going to figure out what to do. I want to say something publicly. I never got a no. Not one time did a roof who knew the matziv on the phone call say, Avi, your idea is nishta iskalt, not b'Torah. It never happened. Because I know the parameters. I have smicha for this from on the wall. You could see from many gedolim. But I don't want to rely on me for two reasons. First of all, what do I need it for? Second of all, I want you to be comfortable. I have people here from YU. I have people here from Satmar. I don't want everybody relying on me or my rabbanim. I have rabbanim. I want everybody to have their own das Torah, because when you hear it from your das Torah, who you chose, you feel more settled. Yes, this is what we have to do. Some parents, Nebuch, they have to have their phones on Shabbos. Some parents have to go. It's rather very, very little. If you look at Blian Hadabish Zavai to help, for a crisis center, this is ganz still. We have probably 5% pikuach nefesh mamish, we're going out of our mind, but 95% of the crisis is ganz still. And when you do what you need to do Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, usually Shabbos you don't have to do anything. But sometimes we have matzavim. We had a story, a kid, they allowed to make lunch for a kid on Yom Kippur, a girl with an eating disorder. Ask a shala. We asked one of the Paiskim Gedolei Adar. I'm not going to paskin this. I don't paskin anything. I give recommendations. This is what I believe is hopefully in the long run going to help the child. This is the mahalach. And then if it's a shaila, I'm on the phone with Rabbanim all the time. It usually rather, it's not as much as you would think. I don't think any roof spent more than 3-4 hours in the 5-year journey. It's really pretty simple, because I really deal with pikuach nefesh and difficult situations. It's hard to mess up. But last night I was on the phone for half an hour with a very chashuv Lubavitcher Rav and a Paisik, and we were dealing with this terrible situation that I hope we'll never have to deal with. I deal with terrible situations. There are terrible situations, yeah. But every family has their moir derech. So most people, when it comes to a car on Shabbos, the other rabbanim that don't know what's happening, the parents don't advertise, my kid is suicidal, my kid has an eating disorder, so the roof down the block, what does he see? Michigan, a guy, they go to this guy Fishoff and they buy a dog and doesn't understand. The Avi Fishoff to help from Bli Ein Hara from 450 Mustama families, Bli Ein Hara. I'm scared to say it, but I need to say it. We never had a suicide. In Klal Yisrael today, suicides all the time. We never had a suicide. I took kids, the Avi Shomer Matzalzam, because I take cases and who are we up against? The psych wards and the Utah and the boot camps and the rehabs. How many suicides, Nebuch, and overdoses? We had one overdose. It was accidental, but still, we had one I'll never get over. We should never have another one. We had last week, we lost a TP child, but it was a car accident, and it wasn't related. But still so painful, Nebuch. And that family who lost their child, that's not a TP kid. They came about another kid even. It was a whole different story. Yeah, Nebuch. That's not even my patient, but we had a girl that was the parents were here for 3 years. When they came here, the matzah was terrible. I don't want to say publicly because people may know. I'll tell you off, the relationship was the worst possible that it could be. I mean, you can't imagine. Police were involved in the violence. It was terrible. I think they're gonna share the story. They said now she's in the Olam HaEmes, we don't have to hide it anymore. And they told me, I went to the Shiva, and they told everybody, we lost our child, but she had 3 years of love. She died knowing I have parents, I have brothers, I have sisters who love me, even though she was different. We don't know what's going to happen, but we have to give them that feeling, that human feeling. She died with love. The last text, the last thing the father, he showed me, I could show you the text. The last thing I told her was something like, be careful or have a nice trip or something. And remember, if you ever need anything, don't hesitate to call me. If that has to be the last words to your child, that's what you want it to be. Not Khalila, other people say, get out of my house and have the guilt forever. No, it was a car accident. No, it was nothing to do with this. So we never, Baruch Hashem, on her. Most of the kids who came here who were constantly in psych wards, probably 95% never went back in a psych ward, which is a weiter helfen. What we're doing works. The people on the street, they see weird things. They don't understand the difficulty that we're in. They don't understand the sickness. They don't understand the medicine. So it's difficult. Basically, this is my mahalach. I give parents advice. It's not wild. You can't solve an extreme problem without an extreme solution. Let's talk a bissel just himmeldik. It's ikvasa de Mashiach. We're all here to be masaking something. It's not a mistake that this person was put in your Dalet Amis. It's not a mistake. Family is like a puzzle, and there's so much Zayar HaKadosh about it, and it's so much Pashat Yiddishkeit. This is for you. Don't zich. You don't have to look for mitzvahs. You don't have to go to old age homes. You don't have to go on other places. This is your person in your family that you could reach. If you don't have a relationship, build one. Make it your mission. Start at zero and start building. Not everybody don't start texting, hey, how you doing? How's it going? Take whatever you are and build it. How is it going to happen? I'll tell you one thing. Ritzaynai shel Adam, that's what happens. Derech shel Adam roitze leilech melichin oisai. Daven, Hashem, help me invest in this. I want to tell you something. There's no greater investment. It says in the Svarim that after, besides the Zayar HaKadosh, that the Siyata D'Shmaya that you get, it says in the Zayar HaKadosh, look at Parshas Truma. If you run after the sinners and you're makarav them with ahava, you're zoicha to have children and grandchildren. People are worried, the bad hashpah. I was worried. I brought into my house from 4 years old until 20, all the different ages. I brought in Mechalei Shabbos from the street. What about the bad hashpah on my kids? Adam megleibt, Adam megleibt nicht. We do the best we can. We believe that the Eibusher doesn't punish us. It only saves us. My kids heard words at my Shabbos table that are not in any mirrors. I promise you. They came in off the street, and I raised beautiful kids who are Baruch Hashem, all Shemitah mitzvahs, and very stark. They don't want to be like them. They're very proud that we were makar of them. And they're very strong. And guess what? They don't want to talk like them. I was once nervous to hear at my Shabbos table these words because I never told them not to talk a certain way in front of me. I didn't do any control. Hey, talk like that? That's bankrupt. I never said that. I said, talk however you want. Full acceptance. And the proof is in the pudding. They walked out firmer than me. No control. And a few months later, you would see how one of the kids who was here 3 months or 4 months was sitting at the Shabbos table with the new kid who came to me. The house was closed on Shabbos, home sweet home, and they used to come to my house for Shabbos. And then when they got a little bit more housebroken, they went to other people in the neighborhood who took guests once they were a little bit more... So I'll never forget. The first kid is with me 3-4 months. He's sitting at the table. The next one comes in, a wilde chai, and Nebuch. His parents left him homeless. And he said a curse word at the table. I didn't flinch. My kids didn't flinch. And the old kid here 3-4 months goes like, hey, you can't say that. He's already giving mussar because he became more normal. And the kid says, why? He didn't chap that these words are, because they live us on the street as Ayratin. I never said no. And then a few months later it happened, I don't want to say with every single one, but I think Kamat every single one. A few months later, those same kids who were talking like trash, they would curse in front of me and they would say, I'm sorry, Avi. Come out every single one, whether it was 6 months or 8 months. And I said, why are you sorry? I shouldn't talk like that in front of you. I said, why? I ever asked you not to? That's why it worked. That's why it worked. People, in my house, you're talking, don't talk like this. You the foul language. Bankrupt. I said, and it always happened. Once they became more normal that I accepted them, they stopped cursing, and if they curse, they apologize. I'm sorry. You'll see it. It happens. You see it already? You see it already? You stopped using the word like that. It happens all the time. But when you tell them, don't talk like that in my house, then they have to fight freedom fighters. I'll fight to the death. Don't take away who I am. You just say, Adarabba, express yourself. Are we happy that this is the way our kids are expressing? No. But if this is the depth of the cancer, the chemo has to match the depth. This is who you are. And happen one after another after another. I could be made. I don't remember if it was 100%, but it was, oh, I'm sorry, Avi. I would say, why? It's not respectful. I ever asked you not to do it? I ever asked you not to talk like that? No, but still. Make them normal. Heal them. When they become more normalized because of the achva, as if they're mamish dressed normal, forget the tattoos, don't look at the earrings, the piercings, the yarmulke, the treif, and when they're ka'acha the they're part of the family, you have influence. And influence, that's what the Chazon Ish said. Yinasu l'mashchem ba'avoises ahava, pull them in with your ropes of love, and because they're so sensitive to rejection, any little look you give, you'll see, you can't connect to them. But then the Chazon Ish answered 3 more words. V'loi l'tchoisam chalila. God forbid, do not reject them. V'loi l'tchoisam chalila. How many children, Nebuch, are lost in Klal Yisrael? Because they were rejected. And who determines what's considered rejection? I say the rejection is in the heart of the beholder. If he feels rejected, you rejected him. People reject and they say, what did I do? I didn't do anything. I didn't say anything. Maybe not to someone else. The kid feels rejection. All you have to do is smile and open your arms. Close your brain and open your heart. That's all you have to do. What did I say? I just said, that's the way you think you should come to Bar Mitzvah? What did I say? Really, you think that your hair looks good orange? There's a boy in Eretz Yisrael who was a kip, what I call kids in pain. And he came to his sister who he had a connection to her l'chaim, to her vart, something like that. And someone in his family went over to him and said, "Di belongs nicht du. You don't belong here." 10 minutes later, he committed suicide. He hung himself. Did that guy want to kill him? No. He wanted to help him. Azoi kimstitz the Shabbos tish. Couldn't get dressed. He came in his bike and his jeans. Di belongs nicht du. We wanted to help him. But you don't know when someone is on a roof, the small doicha, you don't know if there's going to be any Yemin Makarev left. You push them too far. Rebbe Elyashiv said, Rebbe Elyashiv, on regular kids, Yemin Makareves, Yemin Makareves, Yemin Makareves. He said an hour dar with regular kids. No small doicha, regular kids. And they said, what do you mean, what about small doicha? So I heard 2 versions. His Einikel was here. He said he told it to him many times, and it was printed somewhere else. He said, Ulai pam achen pam achas b'shivim shana. Don't go on the video. Okay. Achen pam achas b'shivim shana. He's happy. He just heard out that there's no small doicha. He's telling his mommy. Okay? Just don't go in front of the video. I don't want you to see. Achen, you're right. Once in 70 years, you can go to Small Doicha and then go right back to him in Mekarevis. Rebbe Elyashiv, who was not Mr. I don't know if it's nice to talk like that. He wasn't Shlomo Kavach. He wasn't smiley and huggy. Rebbe Elyashiv, that's how he understood the dar. Once in 70 years, Ken Sapazugin, and that's it. I was saying before, so many things that I never finished because it's an unending thing. Rav Volba writes 40 years ago or 50 years ago. He said, you have to understand the dar changed. He said, it used to be that you gave Musar to even an older kid, and they accepted it, and they backed down, and they apologized. Remember, when we were kids, you got a look from your father, right? That was it. You came to the Shabbos table, and you got a look. What did you do? You froze, first thing. You took inventory. What did I just do now? Am I holding something? Chapped what you just did. Slowly backed away from the table, out of the room, and hoped that you didn't get your head bashed in. Pretty much, now, the kid comes in, you give him a look. You try all the looks in the world, the kid looks at you and says, Tati, what's wrong with your face? It doesn't work. What do you mean what's wrong with it? You just did something that you're not supposed to do. You just brought in the Mishpacha magazine to the table. You just sat on it. What do you mean? Think about what you just did. Maybe that's why I'm looking at you. It doesn't work. Said the Shlomo Volba 40 or 50 years ago. Today, yesh mashahu ba'avira shel merida. There's something in the air of merida that when you hit, you patch, even a little kid, a 2-year-old, he lifts up his hand to hit you back. The world changed. That's a fact. The sensitivity, we're going through an emotional holocaust. Everybody's sensitivity. So many people are on medication. And Baruch Hashem, the Eibishter created medication because we need it. After the Holocaust, there were no nerve endings. There was no emotions. If they had emotions, they would die. We have the emotions and a lot of pain. In the 1980s, the 1990s, Muslim Ruv could testify. What did anybody see coming in the future? Growing up in America, Torah was exploding. Yeah, we thought there'll be too much gashmias. What will be the problem in America? People having too much of a good time, too much money, too much gashmias. Did anybody think we're going to have so much pain? Yiddish families burying children, hundreds a year, hundreds of Yiddish families. Meetings for bereaved, is that the word? Parents that bury their children to overdose and to suicide. That's a maisa b'chol yom. Anybody dreamed that we're going to have psych wards and boot camps and Utah and full of Yiddish kinderlich that are drugs? Drugs are for goyim. Drugs? Nobody saw coming. And around the corner of 2000, right around the bend, started coming this magefa that was first the fringe. We thought it's poor families, weird families, dysfunctional families, and now we see the nicest. Look at the families by me. The nicest families. And now we know, unfortunately, it's usually sexual abuse and trauma and pain. And we know the sugya today is pain. So much pain. I always say, I'm looking for this Russia already for 20 years. I can't find this Russia who just has no pain and just likes cheeseburgers. I want to meet this guy. I'm just giving him such a hug. So happy to meet somebody that doesn't want to die. I keep on finding Rishoyim, yeah? And by the time you get to know them and you peel away the exterior, I find kids who were molested and kids who have diagnosis and kids who want to die. A friend of mine, one of my dear Kip friends who I know for 15 years, he told me today, every day he wants to die. One of those that's not frum, and yet you could write a sefer on him, on his not frumkeit, like the Gedolim. I could tell you stories. Many Gedolim know him. I'll just give you an example. He came to my house for Shabbos. In the middle of the meal, he had a panic attack. He tried to kill himself already 7 times. He had a panic anxiety attack. He went ahead, he took his keys and his cigarettes, and he said, I'm sorry, I have to go, and he left. After Shabbos, he tells me, so I'm driving on Ocean Parkway, calming myself down not to kill myself, and took medicine and smoking cigarettes. And it's Shabbos Nuchmittag, Shabbos in the afternoon. So I'm in my car. What do I listen to? So I listen to Shiurei Torah. He listened to 3-4 hours of Shiurim. I'll leave it to the Oila, I'll leave it to the Bezdin Shomala to figure out what they want to do with him. This is an Avarian, this is a Russia, this is the biggest tzaddik in the world. My father got sick, Nebuch, he needs a big refuah, he's in a coma for 4 years. 4 years ago, this tzaddik, who was full of tattoos and full of pain, and not frum, he was makabel on himself as chus refuah for my father, to stop shaving with a razor, only to use a shaver. I don't know what a razor is, but most of the world who uses it for a reason. Makabel. Then he knew somebody else, a woman Nebuch, that's in a coma. So he started to put on tefillin for her. And then there was a boy, Nebuch, a young boy, 10-year-old boy that was diagnosed with the anamachla. He started putting on tzitzis. I told him, you just need 610 sick people more. You're going to be fully shaymitari mitzvahs. Fazich for himself, he can't do it because he's just too much pain. And believe me, if you go through his pain, you'll kill yourself. The amount of pain that he's in. And yet, Fayanim, to put on tzitzis Fayanim, this is someone who's gleibnish, this is someone who goes to the Rebbe's Tzion at least once or twice a month, goes to the Lubavitcher Rebbe's Tzion once or twice a month, and every day wants to die. He told me yesterday, I meet with him all the time, he said what he wants on his Tzion, Saval Yisurim Harbe Kol Yomov. And this is the one that people are going to stone. This is the Ben Soyer Meir that we have to yell at. And this is the story of our Dar, whether you see it or not. You see the tattoos? That's pain. Something happened between the bris, between the kiddush, and now. You see it, it's all pain, and the Eibishter knows that. Ikvus the Mashiach, what do we want? We want Mashiach. What got us into this is sinas chinam. We could have the nicest koilim, we could have the most mehuder esroigim, but if we don't have a havas chinam, then we're never going to get out of here. And the Eibishter, I'm sure of it in my bones. What do I know? But I see that He gave this dar an opportunity that never existed before. Never existed before, that you could have a havas chinam. I love you for no reason. Just because you are a Jew, my brother, my sister, my cousin, my neighbor. A havas chinam, period. No agenda. Is the only opposite of sinas chinam. Not even because I want you to put on tefillin. I just love you. A havas chinam. It's not a mistake. This is our key. And people, what do? They get busy with learning and stuff and me, and we're missing the point. People go outside Friday night. They go outside Friday night and they see the boys smoking and the girls in the park. Kiknish, look away. That's your diamonds. What do you think they're there for? It's your opportunities. Learn the Zayra Kaddish Parashas Truma. The schar you get for running after the sinner is more schar than you will get for anything else you do in your lifetime. You go up to the 12th level, you can't. There's no Torah, Ma'asim Tovim, He says it clear, that Hashem will reward you like this. And what do? We're busy with our mitzvahs. This is, instead of getting paid $25 an hour, this is doing a real estate deal and getting a $200,000 commission. This is how you get rich quick. How do you become a millionaire? You buy Google stock, you buy a stock of $500, how much are you going to make? You buy what's called a penny stock. You buy a stock that seems to have no value, right? You buy 1 million shares for $10. When it goes up to $100, you're a billionaire. These are not penny stocks, but they have a tremendous shavius. Each one is a chelik, elikayim, mimal, mamish. You believe it? Do you believe it? Or do you just say it? Learn Perek Lamed Beis in Tanya. Do you believe it? Or you just say it? And they're put into this Gehenim. This is their Gehenim. And they're in pain, and they don't look like it. They'll laugh at you and curse you and all of that. That's the cover story. Don't fall for it. It's our opportunity to go out and to grab diamonds. And when they become frum, and you're a 5% partner, and you're a 6% partner, and you're a 4% partner, every mitzvah you get commission. Azoi shtayt. Why should you work retail? You work wholesale. Go out and give a hug. You could all be Makarev, because we have another raya that this is what Hashem wants. And you know what that is? You know what they all want? Especially the ones who curse us and are angry at us. You know what they all want? They want the medicine that we have. They want acceptance. I always said, imagine that they really didn't want acceptance. Imagine that they really didn't want to be accepted. We would have nothing to do. They really want acceptance. And we really can do it. If we really apply ourselves, this is our mission. And they want it. I'll tell you a story. True story. I'm recording a true story, so I just want to... Where is the recorder? Where did it go? I have a collection of these. Okay, here it is. This is fascinating. I'll tell you a story, a true story. All my stories are true. So I never have to make up stories, because once you have these stories, what do you have to make up? It was before Rosh Hashanah a few years ago, approximately 4 years ago. I had a 21-year-old son and a 17-year-old son. It was Friday night, just like now, a week or two before Rosh Hashanah. After the meal, I told my kids, we need schusim. We need schusim before Rosh Hashanah. Let's go to the park. There's 2 parks in Flatbush. One of them has 20, 30 off the derech kids, and the other one has 50, 60, 70. I didn't want to overwhelm my bachrim, so I said, let's go to the park. We need schusim. Yeah. I'm a Litvak. We call it schusim. So I took my boys, chinuch. I took my boys, my 20-year-old and my 17-year impressionable boys, chinuch. And I said, come, let's go. We started walking to the park. I saw down the block a boy and a girl walking towards me, and with cigarettes. And as they got closer, they put the cigarette behind him. I said, Good Shabbos. He tells me, Good Shabbos. By the way, I found afterwards that shtayt in the Mishnah Brira, from the Chavetz Chaim, that somebody who's Machal Shabbos b'Fahesia, but would hide it in front of what he says in Adam Gadol, it's not considered Chil Shabbos b'Fahesia. He doesn't write about an Adam Katan Ma'id, so I don't know how it feel about me. But they hit it right away. Good Shabbos, Good Shabbos. I went to the park. This is what happened. There was about 10 boys and 10 girls. Our kips, our puppies, they're puppies. Drunk, smoking, high. There was a boy sitting on a bench. I sat next to him, just like this. My two boys were standing here and here. I saw Ada schmoozing. Hi, what's your name? Where you from? He lives in the neighborhood. What's doing? How are you? Schmoozing with him, that's it. All of a sudden, another one came over. A guy, two behind me. What's your name? What's your name? This kid behind me looked like a cute little kid. He's 17 years old. He just came out of jail because his parents threw him out of the house, had a restraining order on him, and he broke in to get some, I don't know, stole money or his passport, the EPIS, whatever. So they called the police on him. He just came out. I just want to adopt all of these kids. All of them. These are puppies. They're not dangerous. People don't understand how to deal with them. Schmoozing with them for a few minutes. All of a sudden, the kid next to me looks at me and he says, I don't understand. Why are you being so nice to us? Everybody hates us. This is what they feel. Because everybody walks, it's just the printer. I don't know why it does that. What do they see? Everybody kiknish, don't go around. People are scared. They don't understand them. You see, Mamash, what he asked me, I don't understand. Why are you being so nice to us? Everybody hates us. I don't know why I did what I did. I don't understand it. I turned to him and I took off my glasses. My kids could be my Adam. I turned to him, I took off my glasses. I said, look me in the eye. What do you see? This kid with red eyes, high, drunk, everything. He looks in my eyes. He says, you don't hate us. You're a good guy. You don't need a chacham. They know. The eyes are the gateway of the soul. And this little 15-year-old, 16-year-old punk kid, Zieskite, I should have adopted all of them on the spot, looked in my eyes and saw right away. He said, you're a good guy. You don't hate us. We have to all be good guys. Stop judging them. That's our religion. Judge everybody favorably. Favorably. Says the Sfas Emes, it should say, have I done kol adam? Judge every person. What is it? Have I done es kol ha-adam? What does it mean? It says, avada, you shouldn't judge anybody. But if you're going to judge someone, you have to have it done as kol ha-adam, the ganze Mensch. From when he's born, everything he went through, als was het mitgemacht. And you want to judge? I'm not against judging, judge right. Go from when he's born through everything, you'll see you'll be l'kav schus. I want to end with this. We're standing now at a time of judgment. We know the inyan of midah keneged midah. We know that the way we, Hashem tzilcha, the way that we look at other people, the way we judge other people is our judgment on Rosh Hashanah. I saw it in the Kedushas Levi, and I found it recently in the Medrash, Mamash in the Medrash, very similar. Shoiftim v'shoitrim titein lecha. You should know that your judgment on Rosh Hashanah, titein lecha, is given over to you. Every person has a different judgment. V'shaftu es ha'om mishpat tzedek, Pashut Pshat means, make sure you judge tzidkus properly, fairly. Medrash says no. Tzedakah. Judge with tzedakah. Make sure you're dan l'kav schus. That's what the Medrash says. What do you mean? I see he's driving on Shabbos. I see he's smoking on Shabbos. He's a ber hashpah. He's a danger. V'shaftu es ha'am mishpat tzedek. Make sure that you judge mishpat tzedek with tzedakah, because that's your judgment, Rosh Hashanah. We get to choose how Hashem is going to judge us. And I always say, kirachim of, like you, like TP parents, this rachmanis that they show on their kids, the acceptance, the love, the embracing, kirachim of, like you, albanim, kein terachim Hashem aleinu. You are the heroes of Klal Yisrael. It's hard. It's hard to change ourselves. It's hard to use the Yud Gimel Midas. Please learn Taima Devaira and live with that. And realize that your brother, your sister, your nephew, your niece was sent to you to save you. It's not just about them. I have to add one more. I'm sorry. I said that was going to be end, and one more is okay?
Keep on.
This is fascinating. This is fascinating. Noach ish tzadik tamim haya b'dei Reisav. Anybody could say that about themselves? You're going to get 100 on your report card, Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur. The Torah is made, ish tzadik tamim haya b'dei Reisav. He was a tzadik tamim. After he passed away, came to Shemayim, they told him, we have very bad news for you. You have to come back down. And the neshamas don't want to come down here. Everybody know the song? The Malach will know, I don't want to go. Right? You know that? Neshamas said they don't want to go, they don't want to come down here. He says, what did I do? I got 100. Tzadik Tomim. He said, because you didn't manage to save one person? There was a mabel in your time. You didn't schlep in your neighbor? You didn't schlep in the shviger? Well, yeah. It's a man who should bring down the Arizal and the Zayar Kudish. He did, and there's a lot of different ones. He was punished for it. But he said, you didn't bring one guy. You didn't put your foot down and say, he's with me. God, he's coming with me. Nobody? How could that be? Grada says from Naim el-Melech or from Getish Levi, I don't remember, he was Mekatni or Amunah. Doesn't mean that he had small Amunah. He said he was Mekatni Amunah. He didn't believe in himself. He should have known he's a tzaddik. Tzaddik Goizer HaKadosh Baruch Hu Mekayim. He was too much right. Bottom line is, he had to come down to earth again to be put in the same situation again. As what? That there's a chance that people who are sinners, they were all sinners, who deserve to be destroyed, and that he will stick up for them. Who did he come down as? Moshe Rabbeinu.
Sorry, it says, mentioned that's why he was bitten by he made through a lot that year in the table to Utzikim and Nehemiah, but he didn't.
Right.
That's why he suffered so much.
It says that also, right? He came back down to this world. As who? Moshe Rabbeinu. Why? Why? Because he had to come down to be a tzaddik who had the same challenge, the same design, to see what will happen. Where did Moshe Rabbeinu have that? By the Egel. The Eibusha says, I'm going to destroy Klal Yisrael. That's like destroying the world. I'll make everybody from you. And the old Noach would have said, oh, okay, what time is the boat leaving? I tried, nobody's interested. All right. What did Moshe Rabbeinu say? Macheni no mesifrecha. Hold on. Us, you take it, stealing my show.
Sorry.
That's what happens when you have a Talmud Chacham in the audience. Macheni no mesifrecha. Chutzpah, mamish. He tells Hashem, listen in plain language. You're malamed in the yeshiva, and the kid gets caught up with an iPhone, and the yeshiva goes ahead and tells you, the main malamed, I'm throwing out the kid, and you say, if you dare throw this kid out, mocheni no mesifrecha, I quit, I'm out of here, and I don't. And there was a story, the Gedrikta story with the Chazon Ish. A Rebbe in the Chazon Ish's yeshiva came to the Chazon Ish and said, I have to throw this boy out of yeshiva. He said, no. Pushed more, no. Finally, the Rebbe said, I can't teach him with him in the class. It's either him or me. The Chazon Ish said, on the boy throwing him out of class is dinei nefashos. And how many dayanim do you need? 23. I'm only one person. You're only one person. Bring me 22 other people. We could be done if we're going to throw him out. You quitting is dinei mamonos. Mamonos could be dealt with by a Yachid Mumcha. I'm a Yachid Mumcha. Have a nice day. The next day, Chazon Ish himself went to teach the shir because he didn't want to throw out even such a boy. Moshe Rabbeinu could say, okay, they sinned, they blew it. Taka blew it. I'll be the head of Klal Yisrael. I'm saying I would take that deal. It's a very nice deal. No more Avram Yitzchak Yaakov. It starts from Moshe. And he tells Hashem, we could say this, if you even think about doing this, I'm out of here. There was no Yitzias Mitzrayim. There was no Kriyas Yamsuf. I am not part of your religion. I'm out of the Torah. Macheni Mesifrecha. Torah zu Moshe. Zichru Torahs Moshe Avdi. This was Moshe Rabbeinu's legacy. Kriyas Yamsuf, Makis, Matan Torah. Out of here. Could talk like that to Hashem? And with that, he redeemed his soul. With that, he redeemed his entire purpose. He was put down here. And as I state in the Arizal or the Zohar, which I don't remember, Macheni is Oisius me Noach. He saved his own soul. He didn't just save them. He would have had to come down again. Otherwise, he would have come up to Shemayim. They would have said, Moshe Rabbeinu, very impressive. but you have to go back down again. We all know that we are only here to be Mesakin previous Gilgulim. And who knows what we did in the previous Gilgul. Maybe you threw out this boy, this child, this neshama, this girl from your class, from your house. Maybe you were mavaza. And Hashem is putting this child near you, in your Dalar Amis, your niece, your nephew, your cousin, your neighbor. We're so foolish. Friday night, everybody should go to the parks, not to miss it and sing against them. Imagine if 10,000 Yidden in every neighborhood went to the park to Fabring with them, because all they want is acceptance. We love you. We accept you. Pure acceptance. No agenda. That's the influence. Come to me for Shabbos. We could solve the whole crisis. There will be no suicides. There will be no overdoses. We know it's all coming from rejection and pain. But it's hard for some of us. Because the Yetzer Hara, as I state in Nesiv Shulam, the Yetzer Hara knows what your tafkid is. And that's why he makes that the hardest thing for you to do. So he'll make it easy to bake chalas, and he'll make it easy to zuk tehillim, but he knows that the thing that you came to this world, look at Nesiv Shalom Chelik Aleph, from the Arizal, your tikkun that you were sent down to this world, he is going to block you from doing. And that's the reason that is the hardest thing for you to do. You'd rather do 100 mitzvahs other than this mitzvah. It's your tafkid, and it's your chiyuv, it's your responsibility, and it's our only way for us to get out of this gullus. That's our job. Anything that gets in the way, there are challenges, bad influence, bad this, bad that. That is part of the satan, part of the sitra achra that wants to stop us from giving the love that works. Yes, they're dangerous because they don't think you like them, but I took these kids in, and I can tell you, once you prove trust and love, they will help you. They made my kids stronger. I'll end with one more story. A true story. All my stories are true. I was always worried about bringing kids, strangers, into my house. One day, Shabbos noch Mittag, go for a shluf. That's our minhag. That's the one minhag that I'm very makpid on. And I went upstairs to sleep. My wife went upstairs to sleep, and my son was about 10 approximately, went into the kitchen, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, saw some pomegranate seeds, started popping it up in the air, catching it in his mouth. One of them went nebuch the wrong way, started to choke. Choking doesn't make a lot of noise, especially he was a very slight little kid, and it could have been very, very, very bad. But 20 feet away on the couch was a homeless kid whose grandfather is one of the Gedolei Hadar, but he was one of my toughest kids. He was a very difficult, it was a shvera kid. It was a very dangerous to take kid. I was nervous, I was worried. But he didn't need to go to sleep for Shabbos afternoon because I woke him up for the meal at 12. And he saw my son, and he did the Heimlich maneuver, and he saved my son's life. My son is alive because I took in this kid. So a little bit you have to take a risk. You have to know Hashem doesn't reward good with bad. You never know who's saving who. And we have to save and save and save. We have to have emunah that nobody hurts our children unless that's what was supposed to happen to them. And if anything, the schusim that we have in front of us, that the Zohar Kadosh says, more than anything you can do in your whole life. I can't stop. I have one more story. We all know the Beis Yisrael. There was no bigger kanoi than the Beis Yisrael. I heard the story from Rabbi Avram Shor Shlita, Zazan Gesund, on the yard site of the Beis Yisrael. Was he frum enough? Just raise your hand. Was he frum enough, the Beis Yisrael? Yeah? Okay. Before he became Rebbe in Poland, Yom Kippur in the afternoon, he went out, there's Avsak and Ger, I guess, and he went out and he saw a Machal Yom Kippur. I don't know if he was smoking or working, but he saw a Jew Machal Yom Kippur. What would you do? Nobody loved Hashem more than the Beis Yisrael. And no one was more of a kanoi and a sharfa than the Beis Yisrael. What would you do? You know what he did? He decided, I'm going to be Makarev him. How do you start to be Makarev someone? Yelling at them? Doesn't work. Schmoozing with them. He started schmoozing and schmoozing and schmoozing and schmoozing. And he gave up his mincha and his ne'ilah and is Mariv B'tzibur on Yom Kippur to schmooze with this Mechal Yom Kippur, would you do that? We're so stupid, we're so small-minded. He didn't downgrade, he upgraded. The Zohar Kaddish says you're going to get schar much more than anything you can do. And the Bais Yisrael knew what to do in the Ne'ilah on Yom Kippur for the year, and this was an upgrade. He gave up. I don't even know what happens. Rabbi, you'd have Marav, I guess, later. How many Shmoneses do you say? For Mincha, for Ne'ilah? How can you make up a Ne'ilah?
There's no Neilah's no.
You don't make it. There's no Hashlama. You gave it a minute. How do you get back that hour that Hashem Hu Elokim, the Hechste von Yur, the highest moment? He gave it up for a Machal Yom Kippur. Gets better. At the end of his life, he said, he reflected when he was sick before he died. He said, "This is one avayra, quote unquote, one sin. I never regretted doing it. Even though I didn't accomplish anything." If I tell you, Mitzvah Shem, when I'm 120 and I say, I want you to meet, I gave up a Yom Kippur. I want you to see this boy now. Banim, ubnei banim, oiskim atayra mitzvahs. I saved dairis, 1,000. Everybody says, that's worth it. He said, I didn't get the deal. I didn't get him. And I still don't regret it. Because it's not a downgrade, it's an upgrade. Open your eyes. Look at your family members. Right? Right. But the Bais Yisrael gave up his Ne'ilah. And there's a similar story. I don't have from Baron Kotler. I just want to get it direct. The bottom line is that tzaddikim looked at these things differently. They didn't say, "Oy vey, what am I going to do? I don't want this kid in my house." They looked at it. We have a Holocaust going on. I mamish look at it like we're in the Lodz ghetto, the Warsaw ghetto, and you have a bunch of boys inside, and you have outside a girl who's starving with ripped clothing, and you say, "I can't have her come inside. She's not sneeze. Meshuggah, it's a Holocaust. We're losing the shamas." And the craziest part is once you give, they're not dangerous. Once you give to them, and to think that, if I'm going to accept this kid, that's why my kid is going to smoke. That's why if your kid is good, he's not going to do it. He's not going to want it. And if he's going to want it, it's going to come from somebody. Get on Hashem's good side and get schusim and do everything you can. The tefillas that we have of parents. There's no greater tefillah in the world than to say, Hashem, the tefillah of the Ber Maim Chaim, Reb Chaim Chernovitz, had a son like this. And he was makarev him. And he said the tefillah that we say after group every week, Rebbeinu Shloim, look at me. I'm just a flesh and blood. And look what I do for my son. Habet no asher anoichi oisem bini, afal pi she'eina hoilach b'derech tamim, ani oiseloi rav toiv v'chesev, anoichi basav adam. Rebbeinu Shloim, if I can do it, you can do it. The tefillah that you have, and all the parents and all the families that are doing this, is an unstoppable tefillah. Rebbeinu Shloim, look at us. We're pasha to people and we're embarrassed to the neighbors and we're worried about hashpah on our children. But this is your child. In the gas, and I'm going to save him. And please Hashem, if we can do it, you can do it. Please open your heart. This is using the Yud Gimel Midas to bring rachamim to Klal Yisrael. And that's our job. That's why I am here with you. So why are you here? Just to listen to me? No. There are two things that you need to do. The first thing is you all need to embrace these parents and these children in pain. This is the hardest mahalach. I had so many parents before I started doing this meeting that they would tell me, my brother, my uncle comes over to me, stupid questions. And they don't care. 2 minutes later, you're not even thinking about it. But you go to somebody who's lifting 1,000 pounds, and you give them a pinch. Don't say a word to them. You go to these families, to the parents, and you say, what can I do to help? Do you need money for this? This is expensive. Do you need help with the kids? Do you need babysitting? Do you need food? What do you need for help? Help the parents. Now, if you find another mahalach, another doctor, another hospital that has a better track record, you have every right to tell them, I found another, you're in NYU, I found in Columbia Hospital a better doctor, Avada, and you should go, and I'll go with you. I'm eager to learn. But until you find another mahalach, don't question. Say, wow, I'm so proud of you, Mami, Tati, and brothers and sisters. You picked the hardest mahalach, the one that puts everything on yourselves. The tzaddikim, the heroes. They're going mamish with Yud Gimel Midas HaRachamim, and with that you can't lose even if it's the wrong mahalach. You're going with Kel, Rachum, Chana, and Erech Apayim. You're doing it. You're living this mamish. Each time you should go to the mikveh with a gartel and say, L'shem yichud, kud shebrichu, I'm going to be Mekayim a mitzvahs asay in the Torah of a halachta b'drachav, like it says in the Sifri, Mahu rachum afata ve'rachum. Not Mahu v'chora af Hashem, af ata v'chora af Hashem. No. The Sifri says you want to be like Hashem, be a rachum and a chan and a chapayim. That's what you're doing. And don't let anything get in the way. And that's the support that you need to give these wonderful parents and siblings and each other. Not criticism, not questions. You have a question, ask the Ruv, ask me. But lay off the parents and the brothers and the sisters. Help them. That's your first job. Hug them. I got from the last family group that I did last week, the parents sent me a voice note that one of the aunts sent. I really want to be mefarsim it. I said, that's why I spend all this time. She said, I looked at the whole situation differently. I looked at your child differently. I was scared for your child to come near my children. I thought it's like a disease. I didn't understand these kids. I was judgmental. The whole thing. And she said, it's a 2-minute voice note. She said, my whole mahalach hachayim changed. My eyes opened up. This is my tafkid. I stopped looking down at people. I stopped judging people. I started embracing people. She became a Yid. She says, like I'm a Gayer before Shoshana. Mamish, a whole different world that she said opened up to me. And I'm here for you. And I don't know what I can do for you, but she said, I love you. And I'm here for you. And tell me what you need. You need me to clean the house because you're busy? I'll clean the house. Just babysit. Whatever you need, I'm here for you. So beautiful. So beautiful. Mika Amcha Yisrael. To offer a hand. What would you do if Nebuch, this child, was in a hospital? Then everybody comes with meals and money and Uncle Moshe and Mordechai Ben Day. Everybody comes. And in this situation, it's harder for the parents. Many parents say it's much harder. And what support do they get? Zero. People look. A dog? Yeah? It's changing. It's not 1986 anymore. Now people will admire you. And all of a sudden, people will look up to you and say, and then all the people with problems will come over to you, as you heard already in group, and they'll start opening up to you and say, maybe you could help me with, you're doing something right. Today people admire this. It's not like it used to be. But it's hard. It's really hard. It's really hard. Kapara, mamish kapara zavain is embarrassing. And so you need to support them, period. Hug them, love them, I'm here for you, 100%. The second thing is you need to be a part of the team. Because I can't call him, you can. Think about what is your nafshe kshura b'nafshe. What's your emistic, a deep connection to this child? Is it from 1 to 100? Is it a 5, a 50? Whatever it is, you make sure by next Rosh Hashanah, it's 70, 80, 90. You build it. Build it. Go slow. And find a way to build it and to show I care, I like you, I'm interested in you. Be nice. Just be nice. It's not that hard. Just be nice. No rules, no boundaries. Be makarev. Oh, I know you like this potato kugel. Any ants in the room? Do we have an ant in the room? No, ant. Any Bobby? We don't have a Bobby? The Bobby's in the sugar cookies. What Bobby's can do with sugar cookies. Ants. Any food that you know that he likes? I made it special. You come here, I made it special. Zaitz Makarev. No agenda. Tell him, don't dress up for me. Come. I don't care how you come in your boxes and your underwear. This is what works. We have stories from the Divrei Yoel that told parents. You want to know what to do? Whatever money you give your kids, give this kid double. You have hundreds of stories. Never richuk. Never richuk. Story, the parents came in, the kid had a TV in the room. The father is a friend of mine. He said 25 years ago. Probably 25 years ago. And he hid a TV in his room in Williamsburg. His mother came in, almost had a heart attack. Nebuch, a survivor of the war, a TV in the room. She would want to throw him out and the TV. And his mother's sister, the aunt, saved him. Said, go to Reb Hershel Spinka. And she went, the aunt went in the room and she repeated the story. The mother was crying, a television, and in those days was the big Muhammad Keneged, the television. That was like the big one. Today it's like come out to almost a mitzvah, just Halavai, only watch television. Compared to all the, right? Nebuch. But those days, the worst against it. And she's crying, "Oh, my house and the condition." And the Spinker Rebbe, Reb Hershel, told her, so it seems like your choice is to either have no TV and no son, or to have a son and a TV. My advice to you is to have a son and a TV. But he's going to this and this and this and this. Aber in der Heim, at home. But he walks around in his underwear. Aber in der Heim, but at home. Everything she said, aber in der Heim. Soll bleiben in der Heim. Reb Hershel Spinker. He's today from, has a wonderful family. He told me his friends didn't have parents like that. He said the next day he woke up at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, in the morning, his morning. He said he walked into the kitchen. His mother said, "Good morning." She made him breakfast in his gotchkes, in his underwear. He said she changed. She embraced him. He said, my friends had to rent an apartment because their parents didn't do it. And what went on in that apartment, he said, whatever I did, but I came home to sleep. I had my TV, I had my bed, I had my breakfast, I had my mommy, I had my tati. True story. I forgot to record it. True story. 2 of his friends died of overdose. 2 of his chevra, because there was a bad batch of something that they got. And he said, that would have been me. That would have been me. Would have been me. And he's alive, and those are his memories. Reb Hershel Spinker and the V'yoel, and I could tell you 100 other stories. Now's not the time. So what you're doing here is invest. I call it nafshek shur benafshei. Every day think, what am I going to do? Please, Hashem, daven. Let me be part of the team, because he will, be'ezus Hashem, come back to be healthy, alive, healthy, functioning, happy. Yismach leiv mevakshei Hashem. It's all the same medicine. It's all the same mahalach. And chaval for you to let it slip by when you could have had a 10% shutfis in this multi-million-dollar deal. Chaval. You're going to regret it for the rest of your life. Open your heart and be mekarev. That's why you're here. I would suggest, please, like I suggest to all parents, that the entire family should say Tehillim every day. Finish the Tehillim. Everyone, you'll make a list. Mami and Tati, of course, are going to say a lot more. We'll ask the roof to say the cherry on top, the last one. It's the smallest one anyway. And we're going to daven to Hashem. And while you're davening every day for this neshama, you'll also think to yourself, and what am I doing about it? Call, text, make it happen. There was a Satmar family that was here, a small Satmar family, so you mean only 17 siblings and about 50 people in the room. And they said, what are we going to do? They have a sister who was living in a different city, and she nebuch looked like a guy. And what are we going to do? How is this going to happen that we don't have a relationship with her? And I told them, I don't know. Pray on it. Daven for it. Beg Hashem. I want to do this. Less than 2 weeks later, I got a picture from the mother. 3 Hasidic Satmar ladies, each one with their hand behind them with a carriage, of course. And on the other side of the table in the restaurant, 3 Hasidic husbands, Ingelat, that don't usually go out to eat in a restaurant in the middle of the day, whether they were learning or working with their sister-in-laws, don't usually do that. And at the head of the table, turning around smiling, was this girl. What happened? One of them managed to come in and drop something off and make a spark, and said to her, you know, we didn't spend so much time. How about next week, Tuesday? Are you available? Yes, if they're available. Can I take you out for lunch? Take me out for lunch? Yeah, what time is good for you? 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever you want. 3 o'clock, fine, I'm taking you to a restaurant. Okay, that was the closest one. Then there was another sister, not so close, but not so far, called up this kid in pain, said, I heard you going out with Rosie next Tuesday at 3 o'clock. Is it okay if I come? Yeah, sure, okay, no problem. The third sister was further away. That day, called up and said, hey, I happen to be in the neighborhood. I heard you going out with Rosie, and give me another Chassidish name. Yeah? And by then she said, okay, sure. It was a little strange. And the 3 husbands happened to decide to surprise their wives, because we knew you're all coming together. They surprised the wives to come in. Is this what they do in Williamsburg? No. This is what you do to save a life? Yes. After that, come to me tomorrow night for supper. Can you babysit for me? Bottom line is, a few months later, it was a summer. I have a picture of this girl at a barbecue with the entire family, and she's right in the middle. And they all, through that, found a way to build relationships. She goes there in the summers. She ended up moving home on weekends, still not fully. They're saving her life. She's never very, very sick. Panic attacks, anxieties, lots of stuff. And the safest place for her is home. And the brothers and sisters, all Makarev. The most Hasidish one, and this happened also with the Vishnitzer boy, so Hasidish that he doesn't look in a mirror. And he went to the Kala of Rebbe, Zol Zayin Gesund, and I have it recorded what he told him. And he told him, don't only love and remind her of growing up together, used to be so close. And he hugs her, and he hugs her. He hugs her. Sorry, I can't stop. I think it's important to say. I'll tell you a story, a true story. All my stories are true. This boy was so from, a real Erlich Chassidish boy, he didn't look in the mirror. Even when he went with his parents to get his bekesha for his chasana, so the salesman said, how is it? Look in the mirror. He turns, he said, Tati, is it good? He didn't look at, he was so Erlich and so from. He didn't know what to do with his sister. His sister, they grew up a year apart. They were best friends until 12, 13. And now she's a drug addict walking around mamish without any clothing. He didn't know what to do. He was angry, in pain. He went to the Kala of Rebbe, Zol Zayin Gesund. In the Kala of Rebbe, it's recorded what he told him. But basically, an hour of nor mekarav zayin, no, nicht missezugen. Nicht missezugen. I kept on telling him, nicht missezugen. Don't give musser. Don't push away. Don't reject. Gedenkt von der Gitte Zeit and remind her and play games with her and sit down and hug her. Listen to the whole thing. Listen to the story. He did it. He did it. He mamish did it. And he's so from, but they went to a chasana and of a family member, and at the mechitza is this boy by the lady's mechitza who doesn't look in a mirror and doesn't look at women. He's a real emistika. He's there, and he tells his mother, his father said, tell her to come over. He said, I got you a certain drink, vodka, something, whatever, that she likes from the bar. I got this for you. Brought it to the mechitza. By his chasana, in the middle of the mitzvah dance, he gets up and he walks out, and he tells his sister, come outside. She comes outside to the hallway. He says, everybody else gets a mitzvah dance, but not you. And he takes her hands and he starts to dance. Mitit azoi? Nein. Medaftin azoi. Pikech nefesh. She was a heavy drug addict. She was suicidal. And I don't know if you need to be all of that to embrace your sibling. Real emistic, and how do I know? Because after a few minutes, the parents went outside to see what's going on. They saw them dancing, and the parents started dancing with them. And then after a few minutes, the Zayda came out. I have a video of a hallway of the whole family, the Zayda, the Bubba, everybody. Mitit azoi, shtickle mixed dancing azoi, the Bama mitabab. Nine. We're not allowed to do that. This girl is alive today. Because there's a difference between normal, healthy, and crisis. And we have to deal with crisis. We have to keep kids alive. What a story. They saved her life. So that's why you're here. Invest. Be a part of it. You're not going to regret it. Daven that you should have atzlacha. Daven that your kids should be safe. Daven that it should be a schus for you. There's no greater schus for your children to be protected from this than helping Hashem's children. And people say, no, I don't want to do it. I'm scared for my children. The opposite. You need mercy. This is Hashem's child, and you're gonna lose out. Okay, you can't be stupid, and you have to be smart about it. Fine, medach v'spal zayin, right? But you'll see, we'll be matzliach. Be'ezus Hashem.